Okay, so you want to own a laundromat. You've seen the pitch. Machines wash the clothes. Customers pay in advance in cash before the service even happens. No inventory, no receivables, no employees standing around. The industry brags about a 95% long-term survival rate. And here's the part that shouldn't be able to coexist with that number. Right now, in almost every American city, there are laundromats for sale for $85,000. And they're for sale because they're losing money. A business that almost never dies, dying everywhere. Both of those facts are true, and the gap between them is exactly where your money goes. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what it costs to get in, from a $50,000 fixer-upper to a $3 million build. You'll know how quarters turn into six figures, using a formula the whole industry runs on. You'll know why owners with full machines still go broke, and you'll understand why a laundromat is not actually a laundry business at all. One warning before we start. There is a single sheet of paper in this business that can follow you home, straight past your LLC to your personal bank account. Most first-time buyers sign it with a smile. We'll get to it. Let's talk about what it costs to get through the door, because the range is wilder than almost any other small business. At the bottom of the market is what the industry calls a zombie mat. That's a real term, a rundown store with 20-year-old machines, flickering lights, and an owner who checked out years ago. These sell for $50,000 to $150,000, and sometimes for the value of the equipment alone. In 2010, a Cincinnati phone company employee named Dave Menz found one on Craigslist and bought it for $85,000. $30,000 from savings, the rest borrowed, after 25 banks turned him down. The store was actively losing money. Its security system was a local homeless man who hung around the entrance. Remember Dave. He comes back at the end of this video. The middle of the market is an established, functioning store. Expect $200,000 to $600,000. For that, you get a store that already has customers, machines that mostly work, and, this is the detail that matters, verifiable utility bills. Laundromats are typically priced at roughly 3.5 to 5 times their annual net income, so a store clearing $100,000 a year might list around $400,000. The top of the market is building new, $500,000 as a floor, and Menz himself says new construction can run up to $3 million. Where does it all go? Mostly into the machines. A single large commercial front loader from Speed Queen or Dexter costs more than a decent used car, and you need 40 of them. Now the cost nobody warns you about: water and sewer impact fees. Some municipalities charge a one-time tap fee of $2,500 per washing machine before you're allowed to install anything. 40 washers, $100,000, paid to the city before a single sock gets cleaned. And then there's the lease terms, which we'll come back to, because they're not a cost. They're the whole game. Here's your exotic fact for the group chat. In some cities, the impact fees on new construction are so brutal that buying a dying zombie mat is literally the only economically sane way in. The corpse is worth more than the birth certificate. So where does the money actually come from? Because people pay to wash clothes is true the way restaurants sell food is true, technically and uselessly. Think of every washer in your store as a parking meter that fills itself. A parking meter earns money not when someone parks once, but when the same spot turns over all day long. Your washer works the same way. One wash costs the customer somewhere between $4.50 and $8, depending on machine size and your market. Utilities for that cycle, water, sewer, gas, electric, cost you roughly $1 to $2. So each cycle drops a few dollars of gross margin into the machine. Tiny, boring, who cares? Now watch what volume and time do to that boring number. The industry measures everything in a metric called turns per day. How many times each machine runs in 24 hours. Take a 40-washer store averaging 4 turns a day at $5 a wash. That's 40 times 4 times 5, $800 a day just from washers. $292,000 a year from quarters. And now the number that changes how you see this whole business. A price increase of 25 cents, one single quarter per wash, in that same 40-washer store running 5 turns a day adds about $1,500 a month. $18,000 a year. 1 quarter. Customers don't switch laundromats over a quarter, which means the most profitable machine in your store is the pricing sticker. The revenue splits into streams. Self-service washing is the base, roughly half of a typical store's income. Dryers are the second stream, and they're the quiet champion. Heat is cheap, so dryer margins beat washer margins. Third, wash, dry, fold. Customers drop off a bag, your attendant washes and folds it, and you charge per pound, often tripling the revenue per load. Fourth, in modern stores, pickup and delivery, plus vending, soap, snacks, the little boxes of detergent marked up like popcorn at a movie theater. So here's the entire business in one sentence. Revenue equals number of machines, times turns per day, times vend price. Every decision a smart owner makes, the hours, the lighting, the parking, the folding tables, exists to push one of those three numbers up. You've been inside a laundromat. Have you ever noticed there's almost nothing to do there except leave? That's not neglect, that's design. Notice the giant glass storefront. It's not for sunlight, it's security. A store where the whole street can see inside doesn't need a guard. And in an unattended store, glass is the cheapest employee you'll ever hire. Notice the machines. Fewer and fewer top loaders every year, more big front loaders. A front loader washes 3 times the clothes with less water, and the per-cycle utility cost, around 20 cents for an efficient top-load cycle, comparable for big front loaders, is the difference between a 20% margin and a 30% one. Notice the dryers are priced in minutes, not loads. Quarters buy time, and nobody ever finishes exactly on time. The rounding error is pure margin, thousands of dollars a year of it. And notice the bill changer bolted to the wall like a bank vault. It is functionally a bank vault. Operators will tell you it's the single biggest theft target in the building. 2 insider terms so you can talk like an owner. Vend price, the posted price of one wash or dry, the number that quarter trick works on. Attended versus unattended, whether a human works the store. Unattended means near zero payroll. Attended unlocks the VIP segment. And there is a VIP segment. Wash, dry, fold, and commercial accounts. Airbnb operators, salons, gyms, restaurants with towels and linens. They're a minority of customers and a wildly disproportionate share of profit because they pay by the pound, weekly, forever. Dave Menz's chain leaned so hard into attended service and folding that his stores went from coin boxes to what he calls community resources, with margins near 40%. Which brings us to the obvious question. If demand is guaranteed, customers prepay, and a quarter is worth 18 grand, why do owners go broke? Because the revenue is guaranteed, everything else isn't. Start with the big leaks. Utilities, water, sewer, gas, electric run 20 to 30% of gross revenue. For many stores, the single biggest expense, bigger than rent. Rent itself. Healthy stores keep it under 25% of revenue. 6 stores signed leases that eat 40. Maintenance. Budget 5 to 10% of gross, because commercial machines run brutal duty cycles. Then the exotic leaks. Credit card processing at 4 to 5% in this industry. Dryer fires. One Tulsa operator reported 3 in a single year. Coin theft from the bill changer. And employee theft. One documented case involved a trusted manager of 5 years, caught at felony level. And now, the sheet of paper I promised you. It's called a personal guarantee, and it's stapled to almost every commercial lease a first-time laundromat buyer signs. Here's what it means. Your laundromat physically cannot move. The machines are bolted into floor drains, gas lines, and a sewer lateral that took 6 figures to install. The landlord knows this. So you sign a 10 or 15-year lease, and the guarantee says that if the business dies in year 2, the remaining 8 years of rent don't die with it. The LLC fails. The debt doesn't. It comes to your house, attaches to your savings, your car, your future paychecks. You, personally. The business is limited liability. The lease is not. Write this down. In a laundromat, the income is guaranteed, and the survival is not. Because you signed away the difference before opening day. Laundromats die in 2 repeatable ways, not 10. 2. Death number 1, buying phantom income. This is a cash business, and cash businesses lie. A seller says the store does $20,000 a month. There's no register tape to prove it. Industry buyers repeat one rule like scripture. The veteran investors on the curbside laundry's buying panel put it bluntly. The math doesn't lie, and if the seller can't prove it, you shouldn't pay for it. The proof is the water bill. Gallons in equals washes sold, and water meters don't flatter anyone. Buyers who skip that check overpay by 6 figures for revenue that never existed, and their stores hit the listings 2 years later as somebody else's discount. The rule: value a laundromat on its utility bills, never its owner's memory. Death number 2. The maintenance death spiral. An owner stops reinvesting. Machines age, 1 breaks, then 3. Customers walk in, see out-of-order signs, and drive 1 mile to the competitor. And in laundry, a customer who leaves twice never comes back. Revenue falls, so there's even less money for repairs, so more machines die. Running a laundromat on 20-year-old equipment is like running a taxi company and deciding oil changes are optional. The savings are real for exactly as long as the engine is. The end state has a name you already know, the zombie mat, and the exit price is brutal. Stores that once cost $500,000 sell for their furniture and fixtures value. Take a real listing from Riverside, California. 36 years in operation, $96,000 in gross revenue, asking $125,000, of which $75,000 is just the equipment. The business itself, decades of it, valued at roughly 50 grand, cents on the dollar. The rule: in this industry, deferred maintenance isn't saving money, it's borrowing it from your sale price at loan shark rates. But there's a group that systematically wins here, and they all run the same play. Call them the operators, people who treat a laundromat like a company, not a coin box. The phenomenon is real and measurable. Liberty Laundry in Tulsa runs 3 stores that did $2.5 million in 2025. Men's 4 Cincinnati stores clear over $2.3 million a year at nearly 40% margins. The playbook, step by step. 1. Buy the ugliest store in a dense renter neighborhood. 60% of laundromat customers are renters, so they buy demand, not real estate polish. 2. Fix the 3 things customers actually judge: clean, bright, safe, before touching anything else. 3. Raise vend prices to match the improved store, 1 quarter at a time. 4. Add wash-dry fold to convert washers into a per-pound service business. 5. Hire attendants and build checklists so the store runs without the owner. 6. Take the cash flow and buy the next zombie mat. Notice what that last step means. 1 laundromat is a job you bought. The second one is a business. Let's step back, because now the opening paradox unravels. How can a business be nearly unkillable and dying everywhere at once? Because a laundromat's economics are decided almost entirely before it opens. Compare it to a sandwich shop. A sandwich shop lives or dies daily. Menu, staff, reviews. Nothing is guaranteed, but everything is adjustable. A laundromat is the mirror image. Demand is guaranteed. People must wash clothes in every economy, and about 36% of Americans rent, many without machines. But your rent, your lease term, your water infrastructure, your sewer fees, your machine fleet, all locked on day 1. The industry is a trade. Guaranteed revenue in exchange for unforgivable setup mistakes. The stores that die didn't lose customers. They lost the negotiation years earlier. Which raises the only question left. What happens when someone gets the setup right? Here's the answer to the question you've been asking this whole video. What do you make if you do it right? Scenario 1. The modest play. You buy a proven existing store for around $250,000, doing $300,000 in annual revenue. At a typical 25% net margin, that's $75,000 a year in profit for maybe 15 hours a week of oversight. Payback in roughly 3.5 years, and after that it just keeps paying. Boring, durable, outlives trends, recessions, and most restaurants on the block. Scenario 2. The top play. You put $1 million into a large, modern, attended store in a dense rental corridor. Big stores in strong markets gross $600,000 to $1 million a year, and at 30% margins, that's $200,000 to $300,000 in annual profit, payback in 4 to 5 years. But here's the final twist about what you actually built. The winning stores make their growth from wash, dry, fold, and pickup and delivery. Recurring customers, paying by the pound, on a schedule. At that point, you don't own a laundromat. You own a subscription logistics company that happens to smell like fabric softener. And the ceiling? Go back to Dave Menz. 2010, 25 bank rejections, one $85,000 zombie mat with a volunteer doorman. 7 months in, the store grossed $14,000 a month, and he kept $1,500. He reinvested for a decade, second store, third, fourth. Today, over $2.3 million in annual revenue, roughly 40 employees, and a reported net worth of $3.4 million. One number to remember from all of it: 25. That's how many bankers looked at this exact business and said no. So, okay, you want to own a laundromat. Just understand what you're really buying. It's not the machines. It's not even the quarters. It's a 10-year lease on a hole in the ground that connects to a sewer pipe. Get that one piece of paper right, and the washing machines will spend the next decade paying you for the privilege of being bolted to it.